we always looked at it as an edge culturally. We offer our team the ability to work from home if they want. They could work in our office in Seattle if they want. But now we're extra thankful that we built this work from home culture and this best of class technologies that we use, because now we need to.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be a great one. Our return guest started his bookkeeping business from his kitchen table in Seattle with one very part-time employee. Then he would grow a large staff that helped his enterprise mark over $1 million per year in recurring revenue. He has since grown, and as a result, System Six Bookkeeping has become quite an incredible and inspiring success story. Jeremy Allen, welcome back to the podcast.
Gosh, Michael, I am so glad to be back, and Happy New Year 2021 to you.
It's crazy. And we were just chatting. We spoke back in 2017 and just, I don't know, I think 2020, it's like, if you think of dog years, I think 2020 is one of like hyperdrive dog years, because even when we're talking about 2019, it's like, wow, that's like when my kids were so young and I was it was like so far back. When I say 2017, I think if I said 2017, the beginning of 2020, I said, well, that was just yesterday, but now it feels like a lifetime ago.
It feels like a lifetime ago. It really does.
Yes, indeed. Well, listen, you have been on the podcast before. We had you, it was episode 67. And I highly recommend our listener go back and listen to that. It was a fantastic, remarkable story of Jeremy's business. But for those that didn't listen to that episode first, Jeremy, tell us a little bit about your career journey leading up to this point.
Gosh, and I am so thankful for that podcast that we did back in 2017, a lifetime ago. And I've referred to it a number of times. People will say, gosh, I'd love to hear a bit of your story and your journey and the System Six story and how it unfolded. And so I point folks back to the podcast that you and I did a few years ago. So I think to compress that and make that even shorter, I'm now 45 and an entrepreneur. I think God just made me to be that way, to start businesses and serve people and build teams. And there have been a number of smaller, much smaller businesses that I've built. Some I've sold, some I haven't. And 13 years ago now, System Six was born, as you said, at a kitchen table in a condo there in Seattle. And we've grown since 2008. We are now a $2.25 million company with about $2.25 million of weekly recurring revenue and a team of 23 folks scattered from Hawaii to Florida to South Carolina to Wisconsin and everywhere in between, all working from home, all using the technology that enables us to serve clients from anywhere in the country. And we even have clients now that are in other countries around the world, including Australia. And so the journey prior to System Six was everything from managing an Arby's roast beef, serving pizzas at a Pizza Hut, working at an outdoor plant farm and nursery when I was a teenager. And so I think a constant there as I've gotten a little bit older and had a chance to learn more about myself in the way that I feel like God's made me is just love serving folks, love working hard, and really enjoy technology and numbers and finance. Monopoly was always a favorite game of mine when I was growing up. So I think that bookkeeping and cloud accounting scratches so many of those itches. I get to serve and be an extrovert and connect with our clients, but there's numbers, there's finance, there's a way to measure progress, a way to measure if our clients are winning or not. And so between that and the joy of building a team that shares that vision, rowing the boat in the same direction, serving our clients well, System Six it's been a perfect fit. I think most days I wake up and just smile and think, gosh, I look forward to the day. I love the work that I do. And most of our team, I can't speak for all 23 of our team, but most of our team love the work that they do too. And we love serving the clients that we serve. And we're all just super thankful to be in the business that we're in.
So it's always a blessing when you can do love your work, and then life goes a lot more smoothly. And we were talking earlier before we started recording the show, around the cloud and your life, and not only do you have this what would be considered pretty massive bookkeeping business from the revenue standpoint. I mean, there's not that many 2 million and a quarter bookkeeping businesses out there. And yet you also moved your entire life from Washington State right over to Michigan State. And literally, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you're still running this business and it's all working well. Did you, and especially in today's climate with the pandemic and everything, I mean, it's like, when did you decide that would be the way that it would be?
So part of that is just luck. I think Warren Buffett has a great quote, and I just paraphrase it. He said, had I been born 100 years ago or 150 years ago, like before the stock market does what it does and before technology and before the kind of investing he can do, he said he would have just been eaten. If he had to hunt for his living, if he was a hunter-gatherer, it wouldn't have worked out well for him. And I feel like a very similar bit of luck applies to me and our team and just the life and lifestyle that we get to live. Had we started System Six 20, 25 years ago, we would be a very different technological company. We, working from home would be a lot harder. We'd be very office based and so forth. For me, as an entrepreneur, when I started System Six, and I think you and I might have talked about this a few years ago on the other recording that we did, freedom is just a huge value for me, flexibility. I love just waking up, working out at home, sitting down at the home office and getting to work. Don't mind getting in the car and driving, but really like the efficiency of just, the commute is short. And so when we started System Six 13 years ago, there was just right away a desire for efficiency. What's the best technologies we can use? How can we not mail receipts back and forth or drive across town and sit at somebody's desk that might be grungy with a small monitor and slow internet, right? And those values of working with ease, finding joy in our work, and just my desire to, I enjoy technology and efficiency, that baked into the DNA for System Six that, how can we be the most efficient we can be, use the best cloud accounting tools that we can use so that, right, we can do our work from just about anywhere, the kitchen table, the home office. Great to do it in sunny Cancun when the pandemic lifts. But right now, and I've said this a few times over the last years, I've done different panels. There was a panel we did with Carbon last month, and just part of that really is luck. Like if you would have asked us, our leadership team, to look at our SWOT analysis and say, hey, like, what will you do when a pandemic comes? Like we working from home and having all the technology that we have in place we wanted to do that for lifestyle, for freedom, but we never would have thought, man, this is great to work from home and be cloud-based because there could be a pandemic or because there could be a need to work from home. We always looked at it as an edge culturally. We offer our team the ability to work from home if they want. They could work in our office in Seattle if they want. But now we're extra thankful that we built this work from home culture and this best of class technologies that we use because now we need to, and when we chose to move across country back in 2019, it made it a very seamless and easy move. As you said, easier than we thought it was going to be.
Remarkable. I mean, when you think about it, it's you built it the way you wanted it, and it's just enabled you to really go anywhere, be anywhere, and be completely efficient. I mean, nowadays you kind of think, gee, why would anyone want to do it any other way than the way Jeremy's done it? But I'm sure there were obstacles along the way, things that tested you? I always think, with entrepreneurs, there's something or some things, probably multiple things, that challenge or test you in your journey. What would some of those have been for you as you were growing your business, whether it was, from 0 to the million or the million to 2 million? What were some of the obstacles that you had to overcome?
Gosh, I think one of the obstacles that we all in the bookkeeping and accounting, this cloud accounting or desktop accounting, this space has changed and transformed so rapidly over the last decade, and just the last 4 or 5 years exponentially transformed. What used to be a major obstacle was convincing clients, prospective clients, they hadn't signed on yet, but when they'd call and say, "Hey, we'd love for System Six to service. We see great 5-star reviews online. We got referred," and then we'd say, "Great, let me tell you how we work. We're cloud based. We want to put online banking in place, QuickBooks Online. We'd like to sync the bank and credit cards to that, right? That whole cloud accounting story. Early on, that was a huge obstacle. If we all pause for just a second and remember back 5, 8, 10 years ago, there were a lot of mental obstacles to thinking about doing life online and not having things on premises. So I think for the first several years, when I look at our growth, a lot of the conversations I would have with potential clients was just educating them on the merits of cloud accounting. And now, fast forward, it's almost ridiculous. It's just I smile and think nobody is limited by that anymore. Of course, we all have Gmail and Office 365, and Zoom has become ubiquitous, and everybody, even our grandparents know how to use it now. And so those early challenges of convincing folks about, hey, let's use technology, be in the cloud. That was a huge one that no longer exists for us. But I think also the fact that we were work from home was a big differentiator, or that we were remote. We weren't going to come sit at a desk. And so we got told no a lot. Our early growth from 2008, 10, 12, 14, there were a lot of, wow, you guys sound really like top-notch, great technology, high integrity and trustworthy, but I kind of want somebody to come into the office and I'd like to see them. And so again, that's a pretty big challenge that we had to overcome early on that has just disappeared, right? And I think that's part of, you and I were talking before we started this call about last year. We still grew at 16% in the midst of a pandemic. Super thankful for that. We discounted $100,000 off of our most vulnerable clients, like gyms and restaurants and places that had to close, hair salons, dentists, chiropractors, and yet we still grew by 16%. And I think so many of those challenges that were there for us early on, technology, cloud-based, convincing folks that was good, not showing up and working at their office. They're really glad we don't come now to their office. They don't want us, hey, don't come to the office. Those things have disappeared. And I think a new set of challenges is one that we all face, and that's talent. As we have grown our team to 22, just hired our 23rd team member who is in Hawaii. There is a lot more cloud accounting and bookkeeping. Folks are just fine to think about doing bookkeeping on the cloud, or maybe having never met their bookkeeper. I think QuickBooks Live now offers a virtual bookkeeping service directly through QuickBooks. There's of course Bench, and there's a lot of great smaller bookkeeping firms or solo bookkeepers. And so I think the new challenge for us that we're facing is a talent challenge. Folks that get the technology, have the same integrity and work ethic that fits with our team and our culture, and attracting them to work with us. So I think looking ahead to 21, 22, I think it's going to be primarily how can we attract and retain great team members.
How are you going to do that?
We're trying hard. Yeah, that's a good question. Joe, our managing director, who's like our president, between him and Kelly, who's our controller and in charge of HR, we put out new ads about once every 30 to 45 days now, and just pushed a new one out. It's syndicated to Indeed and many of the other boards that are out there. And I think we had 110 inquiries within the first 24 hours. But volume isn't everything, right? That doesn't mean that out of 110, all 110 are the right fit. So a lot of learning. It's a whole new process for us. We're using an applicant tracking system, recruiter box. We're doing all kinds of skills tests and multiple interviews and reference checks. And the hope is, that we get our batting average pretty high, but we also recognize that it's a batting average. And I'd love for our team to bat 10 out of 10. Every applicant we talk to is the perfect System 6 candidate and fit. But I think the reality, and we saw this over the last year, is there's a lot of good human beings out there that would be a great fit, but maybe they've never worked from home, or maybe they aren't familiar with QuickBooks Online and Carbon and Bill.com and Gusto and all the tools that our team uses. And so sometimes great human being, just not a great fit because of the tech or the work from home. Sometimes, and we had this happen recently, Michael, we had somebody that was right up to the end of the process. We'd been courting, if you will, dating for 45 days. We were just about to go to prom. And they said, my current employer has made me an offer I can't refuse. And super high integrity. They said, hey, I'm going to give them a chance to, pay me more and stick around. And that's perfect. That's the kind of team member we would want. But then we didn't hire that team member. So what's our plan? Lots of trial and error, lots of talking to folks and trying to get our batting average up so that, maybe we're 3 out of 10 or 4 out of 10. And, we only need we've got a lot of metrics, and we track, how much each team member, FTE, how many clients can they serve? How big of a book of business, if you will, can they help lead? And we know we probably need to add 4 to 6 really high quality team members this year to continue our 10 to 20% growth curve. And finding 4 to 5 really good ones might take 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 applicants. So wow. Maybe when you and I do our next call, we can revisit that. How did we learn? How many scraped knees did we experience?
Well, it's a big problem, and it was literally it was a question that I had for you from this very morning. This morning, I was speaking with a bookkeeping business owner, and she was having one of her challenges with staff, and she's a micro business, has a couple of part-times, but needs to make that leap to the bigger commitment. And, it's like, well, there's a bigger commitment guy that I'm going to be talking to today. Mm-hmm. And so nice that it just sort of, the conversation just evolved into that place. But getting staff is challenging. Finding great people with the skills that, and you mentioned this, that want to do the work. Mm-hmm. And are, it's like they're moving towards that versus, I'm just going to do that for money, or, this would be a good job to have just so I could get some stuff so I can get over there. I mean, you want people that are moving towards you, that want to help you play your game and win your game and love doing that. And so it's been interesting to hear some of the things you're doing and in your business. But the pandemic has brought 2 areas that I see being, if you think technology, technology is ramping up incredible pace. Mm-hmm. So you can just imagine what's going on in that talent marketplace right now. And then also financial services, there's always been a bit of a declining pool of talented people because of education, people doing other things. And so now we're at this place where we're all in the battle to get through those 1,200 applicants and find the 3 or 4 that are going to be great. And so how do you do that? And what are the solutions? And unfortunately, I think some of the solutions are beyond this conversation and in changing the industry and maybe advocating for that. More people getting the education, going in there, finding it. And I think you and I will both agree it's a fantastic career. It's a career that can be 100%. Done anywhere, right?
100%.
And I don't know that enough people know about that.
Well, and this year, that's a fun segue to this year has been 2020, a year behind. Huge magnifying glass focused on social injustice and inequality and the difference between folks that have and folks that do not have. And people of color has been a big topic in our industry, that there's the as you said, bigger conversation. It's a long path and a long investment to have the next generation of younger entrepreneurs, accountants, bookkeepers, finance majors, to be growing them and training them, so that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, right, with the job market, the applicant pool, the amount of talent increases. And our team has talked a bit about how, that traditionally it's been a pretty narrow, like maybe accountants transition over to do cloud bookkeeping and accounting, or maybe it's somebody that had an interest in finance. But what we've found is that some of our best team had no formal finance training at all. And I say that and laugh because, I've told our clients this. One of our best team members, Kelly, was an English honors degree from the University of Washington. She was an honors English student who had I think maybe when she was in college, she did a little bookkeeping for one of the university admissions offices or something, but never classically trained, didn't go to school for accounting or for numbers. And she leads some of our largest multi-million-dollar 50 to 100 employees. She's just got an attention to detail, a tenacity, and just this amazingness about her that accounting, CPA or not, she's one of our first round draft picks. And so how we, as you said, the longer conversation, how do we train up the next generation to recognize that this is an industry they can be in, that this isn't accounting from 10 years ago or 15 years ago, right? I think, there's no shortage of Facebook groups, and you too can be a bookkeeper if you only have a computer. And while that might be true to some degree, there's a whole depth of knowledge needed about money and bookkeeping and technology and business that helps make us valuable in serving our clients and navigating all the government stuff that happened last year. That it's not just something that we can learn overnight. And how to train more folks up in that, how to get folks that are thinking about accounting, finance. I don't think, and this would be I'll take a note on this and ask the local colleges here, like, do they talk about bookkeeping and cloud accounting as a profession, or is it still just kind of become a CPA? And then the CPAs might end up as bookkeepers. I don't know, right? So
it is an interesting one, and there's in my opinion, there's certain characteristics of a person that would be good at this work and enjoy it, and yet, how would most people that have those characteristic skills, behavioral tendencies, just the way they think, how would they even find out that this exists? I mean, I hear that story so often. It's like, oh, I just fell into this because someone asked me to organize some messy books or something. It was like, I loved it. And they discovered that they have this ability to do it. They love the work and they want to do the work. But, I think that's maybe part of the problem, is that some of the best workers, the best business owners out there that could be great in this industry don't even discover it, because it's not part of that education system. It's not, it's not the, hey, go become this, go become an engineer, an accountant, or a computer programmer, or whatever the case may be. So definitely an interesting challenge that we're having, but it's a real challenge, and the demand for the work just keeps growing at an incredible pace. And so, you mentioned Live and Bench and these other organizations. There's enough to work in business to go around by a factor of so many.
Oh yeah,
and so it's challenging. When you think of your staff and bringing in, like you have 23 or 24 people now working in your business, you have to find them. What do you think has them, and they're all remote, this was another part of that conversation. You're running this remote business, you get people all over the world doing this. how is the culture of your business that has people just do what they need to do? Do you have to manage them? Do you have to, there's this, it's different from managing someone who comes into the office to managing someone who's online that you can't see. You don't know exactly what's going on over there. Maybe some thoughts around how you've been able to manage that.
Yeah, so thankful. And in some ways, yes, we've worked hard and designed and built and have continued to cultivate, just an amazingly strong culture. And yet, I think I feel blessed and lucky that we have some of the team that we have. As we've grown now, 13 years in and 20 odd team members, some of the first System Six team who are still with us have just anchored our culture, anchored our ethos, our DNA. And so the care we have for our team, the way we connect using technology, many of those things are driven by individuals inside of System Six that's just their commitment to taking care of their team, their commitment to caring for other human beings. I'm lucky, we're lucky that's not something we have to mandate or manage. It's just in part of, who several of our leaders in our team are. So I give credit where credit is due. Some of our team just happened to be amazing. It's not that we hired for that 7, 8, 10 years ago. Those team members are those kind of people that care for others. And therefore, whether we work from home or whether we're in the office, that care extends. And then it's, that's just the ethos of or DNA of, but then there are the tactical things that we've done to continue to intentionally build that culture. And, we use, and I'm looking for one of the many copies I have sitting around, we use Traction as a system, the entrepreneurial operating system, where we do weekly meetings and have cadences and huddles. And we utilize lots of tracking tools to make sure that week by week, month by month, quarter by quarter, year by year, we're focusing on the big rocks. We're distilling those big rocks down into bite-sized chunks and tasks, and then measuring how we're performing against those. And some of the things in those rhythms that we have in place, like an all-hands Zoom meeting once a month, where everybody comes and we give everyone 30 to 45 seconds to check in. So we hear from everyone. I get a chance to share. Some of our other leaders get a chance to share. So there's some vision casting, some tactical updating on numbers, and checking in with everyone. So there's some things that we do like that just those knit us closer together. The weekly huddles where a team lead meets with their client lead and huddles together. They look at budgets of how much time we should be spending on serving a client versus how much time we've actually recorded against a client. And then, hey, how are we doing? Are we off track or not? Has the scope crept or not? Many of those things that keep us aligned and keep a great culture are by design things that help us measure and then perform better. And so in a lot of ways, we talk internally about, we just want to be like a really well-oiled sports team. Because, in a great sports team, there's a series of plays, there's keeping score, and then at the end of every play or quarter or the game, and end of every season, it's clear, what was the score? Did we perform how we wanted to, or did we not? Where can we improve? Let's go back and look at the game tape and see where we made mistakes and can do better next time. And so we do that on a weekly and monthly and quarterly basis with our numbers and our stats and our profitability by client and how many hours we spent doing different things. And that knits us closer together, and we talk about rowing the boat in the same direction very consistently, because we enjoy serving, we enjoy working together, but we also have these tools and structures in place that help us stay the course. And again, I'd say Traction is a huge part of that, just the whole operating system that EOS is. Teams, we use MS Teams, and we have channels like health and humor and cooking. And it's really great to see folks engage. Like someone will post their new 5K record or what Lauren is doing on Peloton, or somebody will bake something over Christmas and show that on Teams, and everybody oohs and ahs over that. And so there's this, we've learned to, stay connected and have the water cooler talk, as well as the, hey, I need help with a client, or hey, did we get this thing done or that thing done? And then I think one other piece that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, because I think it's been a huge boost for our team, and it's for the listeners out there, if they haven't explored something like Carbon or another workflow management system. When we implemented Carbon several years ago now, that gave us a framework for scalability, unlike any framework that we had developed up to that point. We had a hodgepodge of Google Sheets and systems that we had built that, helped us grow to $1 million, and we're super proud of that. But we recognized going from $1 million to $1.5 million to $2 to $2.5, and doubling our team size and client load wasn't going to happen through all these disconnected spreadsheets and so forth. So the way that we worked closely with the team at Carbon several years ago, kind of in their early days, setting up this, no matter where we are in the country or world, having a system that gives us visibility into where we are in serving a client. Are we on target? Are we behind in our tasks? Do we need to reallocate those tasks because someone got sick or needs time off? Being able to do all that from a central location is like having an office, right? And so between Teams and Zoom and the all hands and our weekly rhythms, and then having something like Carbon, which gives us a shared workspace, it kind of is the 21st century version of being in an office, right? It's I guess we all just need VR goggles now and can go to our virtual meeting, and it would feel just like we were, in an office. So it's probably a long answer and several themes to unpack there, but hopefully that helps folks that are listening get a sense for, that we can build a great culture. We can use great tools to build a multi-million-dollar company and have us all work from home. We don't have to be. We love being in person. We miss that we didn't get a chance to have an all hands, all company, all family get together last year because of the pandemic, and we look forward to that this year. But because of the tools and the fun ways we can come together, I think we're still just as well lubricated as we have been in the past.
Probably even more so. And I think it's, if you think about just in this conversation, listening to you, systems, the foundation, and embracing the technology, building a platform that can scale, really is paramount. Because then what you do, where you go, you're not trying to figure out yesterday's problem. You're figuring out the new problems, gaining growth, hiring better talent, adding to your team, building your culture. It's remarkable to hear you've built a remarkable business and done so in a very positive way by the sounds of things. So, on behalf of all of our listeners listening right now, Jeremy, I want to thank you greatly for your generosity in sharing your story and where you are and how you got there, and giving some of that knowledge to our community.
Oh, it's totally my pleasure, Michael. And I just hope that for folks that are listening, be encouraged, stay the course. You said it a moment ago, the field that we're in, this cloud bookkeeping and accounting industry, businesses need what we have to offer. And if we do that with integrity, if we can find joy in our work, whether we be a solopreneur or whether we build a multi-million-dollar team that is a System Six or a live CA or an Acuity, anywhere in that spectrum, the passion to serve well, the passion to help others, the integrity to do so with honesty, and to take great care of our clients, to seek the best for them. There's a huge need in the marketplace. And I think for anyone listening, if you find yourselves discouraged, remember it's not like pulling fish out of a barrel, but it's close. There's a lot of folks that don't do a great job in our industry. And so for those that do, I think the opportunity is huge. So be encouraged to keep leaning in and growing and serving. And I think that whether the goal is a $100,000 a year business or a $10 million a year business. It's all very possible, which is why we see the QuickBooks Lives and the Benches and the other players in the industry coming in. They see this huge opportunity to serve small businesses and the scale here. Yet culture, integrity, building a great team, those are the biggest businesses in the world, Intuits and otherwise, unless there's great leadership and a great culture and great systems and great people, the bookkeeping probably won't be that great. So I think there's a huge opportunity. Hopefully your listeners are encouraged to keep leaning in and keep serving. And so, Michael, thanks for having me. I've enjoyed our conversation today.
It's been a pleasure, and we're so grateful to have you a part of our community and to join us here and sharing this. And there is massive opportunity. And if you're not inspired by Jeremy's episode here, well, I don't know what will inspire you, but it's been great, Jeremy, and we'll look forward to hearing when you crack the $3 million level. If that's where you end up wanting to go, we'll get you back and we'll talk about that. And so with that, we will wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.